Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Criss Kayji, featuring strvuss, if I'm not mistaken, titled Mekathé. And if we switch over to here, I think the production of this track is done by strvuss, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But it's going to be interesting to listen through this collaboration, get that art up on the screen there. We're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it, let's go. Incredibly atmospheric immediately.
Attente, attente. Attente, attente. Si tu aimes m'attendre, attente, attente. Meka, meka, meka.
Interesting vocal
Si tu
chains on this.
La vérité arrive toujours. Attends.
T'as vu le rendu, t'es dans la méca, t'as vu le rendu. T'as vu le rendu, t'es dans la méca, t'as vu le rendu. J'suis pas patient mais tu me dis d'attendre. J'avais le démon ce soir, j'suis pas tendre. Couper les métaux pour mieux te détendre. Faut pas m'allumer, ça finit en cendre. Me parle pas de vérité. Tout ce que j'ai, je le méritais. Me parle pas de vérité. Chacun sa vérité. Après le thé, bébé n'est pas détendu. Elle cherche les mots comme si c'était le bandu. T'es dans la méca, t'as vu le rendu.
Great way of bringing it down in short form.
T'es tendu, j'suis tordu. Et t'as vu l'étendue. T'as vu le rendu. T'es dans la méca, t'as vu le rendu. T'as vu le rendu. T'es dans la méca, t'as vu le rendu. T'as vu le rendu, t'es dans la méca, t'as vu le rendu.
And we just got that fade out. We're just cutting it there. What a fascinating track. We're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Criss Kayji, with production, as I understand it, from strvuss, titled Mekathé. If we switch back over to here, I am curious about the art there. I'm not that fluent in French. I've done a bit of it, but not enough to be able to hear it in real time. There were parts of it about loving something in particular. So my take on it from the art and from a very basic level of French is that it's like people coming together because they love something. Like the woman was saying that the person I was speaking to loves something. It could be the kind of the tea that they're brewing here. Maybe that is the magic of the music itself. I'm not quite sure. The mix that they're creating there. But either way, I think it's an interesting story regardless. And I think that what I appreciate, for one, is that this is a song where it's enjoyable despite the fact that I did not understand the lyrics for the most part. That may seem counterintuitive because, you know, in most situations we'd want to understand what the song is about, but here I feel that the quality of the vocal performance, as well as the effects change and processing on the existing sort of main leads, as well as the lady's vocals at the start of the track with how misty and ambient was, with the lower modulations, it's just fascinating, and we get so much to appreciate in such a short form factor. I mean, there's a lot going on with Criss's vocals as well across the piece there. We've got this kind of triplet flow with the rapping. We go into upper range as well, a bit more melodic in some parts of the rap kind of verses. And we not only have a separate section for the lady vocals at the start, and then Criss coming in and having their time, they come together at the end. And it's just phenomenal how they layer on top of each other, respecting each other's independent rhythms, coming together to further develop the piece in the way that's immensely satisfying. And it shows a fundamental understanding of music production and songwriting, as well as a polish on the performance, and just great use of form factor, because this was also what I've got to give a shout out to, is the actual length of the track. It's phenomenal. At 2 minutes in length, there is so much to appreciate. We have that starting section where it's so tender and quiet and it simmers and it's very sort of like almost mystical. It's mysterious in its approach there. And then when the basses and the drums come in and things are pulsing and we get the vocals adding more kind of context to it, it's great. And to then have the ladies' vocals presented again over that last part, just structurally bringing it together, but also how effortlessly things niche into place, it's fantastic. And we have this wonderful, I mean, it's more of a production thing, which I'll talk about as the final thing. But with just a sort of really solid vocal technique from Criss upon this across the layers, with an interesting sort of like wistful tone from the lady who's singing in this. To have that just be the focal point with the backing in a song short enough to not overstay its welcome, it's just really well considered. And so usually I talk about three things within these conclusion sections. I try not to overcomplicate them. And I'm torn between the talking more about the instrumental layers and then talking about the production. I'll talk about the production, just really quickly. I think structurally, the use of those kind of like synth pads and the way they flitter and flutter, well, it is a production thing. I just want to say that everything in this mix mattered. You have this kind of like dusty sound there, a vintage sort of like texture to everything in the beginning. It's almost like it's mourning something, like we've lost something. And we have like heavily like cut drums there, kind of almost leaving the high end and nothing else below it. Very deliberate decisions in regards to EQing and processing of the percussion on the kit. And then we have that low end kind of like either synths or like bass or strings there kind of chipping away. They're very kind of like steadily in a very subtle way. Then it builds up, but it kind of creeps up on you at the same time. There's a very kind of like insidious crescendo to it. And then you have these kind of sort of orchestral drum layers over top kind of transitioning between sections there with a solid sine chain pulse to the chord note kicks, with the vocals just very present in the mix in an incredibly satisfying way. And then you have that transition to that final chorus with everything coming together. And it's kind of weird because it seems like it should be bigger than it is, but it's also very satisfying in that they managed to sort of sneak that relative intensity in terms of the dynamic range. I mean, the stereo field is wonderfully textured. The frequency spectrum as well is very well handled. And ultimately, it's just a track where both Criss Kayji and strvuss, they really genuinely cared. They put an effort into collaborating in a way where I feel like we got the strengths out of both musicians and artists here. And it makes me want to listen to more of their music. So I wish them the best of luck in future. I've got no complaints about this track. It's a very interesting sort of like independent project, and it'll just be interesting to hear what they have next. I wish them best of luck, but thank you very much for watching my review of this track from Criss Kayji as well as their strvuss titled Mekathé, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and their Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.